everybody, welcome to SNS Southern Styles. I am today's host, Mrs. Taylor, and today I'm going to be showing y'all how to make these clay cookie snowflakes. I love the way that they look. They turned out exactly what I wanted them to be. So I wanted them to look like homemade cookies that the kiddos and the family got together and made. I didn't want them to look professional in any way or form, and they are absolutely adorable, and every time I look at them they just make me happy. So I'm going to show y'all how I made these and take y'all along on my adventurous journey. What you're gonna need in order to make these is Crayola's air dry clay, paintbrushes, water, paper towels or wash rags, and paint. And also your time, because this is going to be a 2-step process. Good luck. We're going to roll out our clay, like how we will roll out cookie dough, and depending on how thick you want your snowflakes to be, depends on how thick you make your clay. And the thicker it is, the longer it will take to dry. The thinner it is, the quicker it will. So I'm just tapping it to feel the thickness of it and to make sure it's what I want. And from here, I'm going to get my cookie cutter, and I am going to cut out my snowflakes. If it pops up like that, and just go ahead and move it and put it to the side. Just poke your finger through. Be careful not to get your finger stuck. So that would be something I would do. So from here, I'm going to roll up the excess clay. Just be careful. Try not to rip your snowflakes. I'm going to do a couple of different things with these. I can probably not. No, I'm going to make these look like actual cookies. So I'm going to paint them to make them look like cookies and make them look like they have icing on them. Now I messed up on this one, so I'm going to go add a little bit of extra clay to it. I'm going to flatten it out, and then I'm just gonna pop out another one. Messing around with these is real simple. I think I messed up again. Hopefully not. Nah, we did good. Okay. So with these guys, when I paint them up, I'm gonna make them look like actual cookies. I think that would be really cute. And in doing so, we'll see. We'll see once we get to that point all the different things that I will do with them. So if you want to, I've found a way to explain this. If you don't want any holes poked into these and you want to turn them to earring backs, into earrings, you can easily just put an earring back on them and leave it like that. You can turn them into buttons and pins. So I'm going to take 2 of these. Yeah, that's what I'll end up doing. I'm going to take 2 of these and put them off to the side, and those are the ones I'm going to use for my earrings. But I am going to take another set of them. I'm going to poke holes through them. These are ones that I'm going to be probably experimenting a lot with, making a whole bunch of different bracelets and see how they look. But for this time right now, I just want to see all the different paintings that I can do with them and go from there. Oops, my bad. So if you want to poke a hole through them, just go to one of your corners and poke a hole through. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Just because that opening looks bigger on one side doesn't mean it's the same size on the other end. And you can use anything you want to open these. You can use a toothpick or a pencil, just anything that has a pointing end to it. It'll work just fine. Make sure that you don't get too close to the edge, because if you do, when it dries, it will crack completely through. I don't know how this one's going to work when it dries up. We'll just have to wait and see. These are going to take around 2 to 3 days to dry up. Once again, it does depend on how thick it is. I will come back when it's in the middle stage of almost being completely hardened, between still curing, so that way y'all understand the different ways that it's supposed to look. But I will see y'all then. So here are the snowflakes. They've been drying for 2 days now. They're still gonna need an extra day left to dry before they're fully dried up. They're still soft to the touch though, and you can still carve into them at this point. And as you can tell, the color in them has changed dramatically since the last time we've seen them. But I will see y'all once they're dry. It's been a week that I've been setting these out to dry. I'm not going to lie, all my clay stuff that I've made has been drying for roughly a week and a half. It's because I forgot all about them. I just had them setting off into a corner. Then once I realized about them, so on average, these right here took 4 days to fully dry. So if you want to make this stuff, know that it'll take 4 days for it to fully dry up. If you want to be completely safe and sound, the whole week will be perfect. And even with these being fully dried up, they're completely white now. They don't have any gray color to them anymore. They're still soft, but you can't carve into them anymore. So I'm going to get started on painting these. I know we talked about how I wanted these to look like, and I finally came to a decision. I am going to make these look like sugar cookies with icing on top, and then I'm going to make a snowflake design in them. We're going to see how it turns out, and we're going to see if I can't make it the cookie color the way that I want. Well, we're going to have experiments with it. So I want one to look like sugar cookies, and then I want a couple to look like gingerbread men. So I'm just going to mess around with different shades of brown and see what colors come out of all of it. And these are the paint brushes that I'm going to be using in order to make these. And these paint brushes I'm going to be using for all of my clay stuff that I've made. And the different acrylic paint that I'm using, I will show y'all the names of them as well. They're just the cheap ones from Hobby Lobby and Walmart. This is going to be this mixed with white is what I'm going to try and do in order to make the colors of the cookie that I want. And then I also have this color blue is what I'm going to paint the icing with, and then I'm going to make the snowflake of it in the white color. So basically I'm going to use tan for the whole cookie basin. I'm going to use this for the top coat of icing, and then just the plain white in order to make the snowflake outline. And we're gonna see how it looks. So over to the side, I hope that y'all can see this really well. I don't know if y'all will be able to see all of my mixing trays. You should pretty well see it. So off to the side over here, I'm going to get some white. Which my white is runny. I've had it sitting out for a while, and this is the first time that I've used it in a couple of years. It's still good. It's just going to be very runny instead of thick like some of them are. And then here is my brown, and I'm just going to put that off to the side. Now my brown is already looking the color that I want my gingerbread to be. The only problem with this is I know when this brown dries, it's going to look darker. So I'm going to mix it with my white, because at the end of the day, it is going to dry darker than how it appears, which is going to affect the color of it, but at the same time, it's not going to affect it enough to where it will bother me. Just most of the cookie is going to be covered anyways. Now off to the side over here is where I'm going to be mixing my paints. And I'm probably going to need a little bit extra brown in it. But this color right here, and I forgot to tell y'all, the two that I'm using for my sugar cookies, I'm not going to paint because I like the color of the clay for them. So I'm just going to push these off to the side. The only two that I'm going to paint are going to be these two. The brown color that I've made right now, I really like. I like the tan color of it, so I'm going to paint one of my cookies with this tan color, and then I'm going to add a little bit extra brown to it again, and then we'll go from there. So, and I'm really hoping y'all can see this. I'm just going to go through and paint up my sugar cookie. Well, cookie. I guess it could be a sugar cookie. Now you're gonna get paint on you. That's just how painting works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the top layer first. And then once the top layer is dry, I'm going to go and work on the sides. Once the sides have dried up, I'm going to work on the bottom and get the bottom painted. Now this paint dries very quickly. Oops. So by the time I'm done painting the top, the sides of it by the time I'm done painting this one, the other one should already be dry. That is what I was trying to say. Yeah, see? So it dries very quickly. That's why I'm a big fan of this paint. And I really do like this color. Now I'm going to paint the bottom, which I am running out of paint, so I'm going to have to mix some more up. So I'm just going to get a dab of white. I'm going to scrape it off onto my side over here. Then I'm going to get a little dab of brown, and we're just going to mix that up. Okay. Now keep in mind that your second batch that you made of color mixing might not fully match your first batch of colors that you did, but it's okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I have some dog hair in my clay, and I'll get rid of that in a moment. Once again, I'm just getting the white moved over along with a little bit of brown so I can make the bottom. So here are my 2 painted cookies. I'm going to hold up one of the white color ones. I don't know if y'all can see a difference, but there is slightly a difference between the two. I do prefer the light tan over just the straight white. But once I'm done painting it, we're gonna see what the finished project is going to look like. Now what I meant by the different batches, so this one had a little bit more brown in it than what this one did, so I'm going to go back through and I'm going to repaint this one, but I'm going to put a little bit of extra brown into the mix. Now I'm going to set that off to the side and let them dry up. And I'm going to get a little bit more white paint. Now this time I'm going to make a little dab of brown, and then I'm going to get a little dab of white. So I do want this one to be slightly darker. So all you're going to do is just mix up your colors until they're honestly at the shade of brown that you want them to be. And do remember that when these dry, they are going to look slightly different. The colors are going to alter in them. Set that off and let it dry. Come over here, and you can easily get a light brown color that's already pre-mixed to meet what you want. I just don't have any. I had some, but I already used them all up. So that's another reason why I'm just going through and making my own colors. And also too, it makes each one of them look unique and customizable. So not one tooth snowflake is the same. And I also find it really relaxing just to mix the colors up together and to paint. I'll flip you over. So with this one, what I'm doing is I painted the top, and now I'm going to paint the bottom, and then I'm going to paint the sides on them. there's not really one or two ways that you can do wrong with this. And I don't know if y'all can tell the difference. So here are my two, I would say, beige color ones. These two right here, I have just left plain white. And these guys are the ones I'm painting to look like my gingerbread. And you can slightly see a color difference in it. I know I can see it really well, but I don't know if the camera is going to pick up the different colors, because they are slightly similar. So it is hard to tell a big difference. Because I can see every little detail, every mistake, every little color that's slightly shaded differently, because I am the one that created it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because other people don't see it. And if you're making stuff for the enjoyment of other people, then it doesn't matter. And that's right. What I'm currently doing right now is making this in the enjoyment of other people. Now that all of that has set up and dried, I'm going to get my other icing out. And I don't know if I told y'all, but do shake up your paint before you use them. Yeah. So I'm just going to put the blue over here in the corner. And I'm going to get a different paintbrush. So I'm using this paintbrush now instead of the bigger one that I was using. I hope y'all can see this. I'm not going to have it fully touch the edge. And it also does not matter how perfect this looks like. So once again, we want it to look more like a cookie. Now you can make it look like a nice, expensive cookie from a beautiful bakery, but I want mine to look like a Walmart cookie. I want it to look like one of those pre-packaged cookies. So I'm not going to have it be perfect. That's not what I'm going for. And I am going to do multiple layers on this. And I know they do look very goofy. That's the whole point of this. We're just going to go in with a snowflake pattern. So we're going to start at the edge and just move to the center. And those little corner pieces right there, we're just gonna put a little dab of paint there. We're going to start down at the edge and just move to the center. And the little edges, we're just going to dab a little bit of paint. Okay. And we're going to put it off to the side. Now all of these, I know I said before, but I am going to give all of these a second coat of paint. Just going to dab into the center. Now I know, well honestly, you could do this with puff paint. I don't have any puff paint. And that would make it look puffy and actually like icing. And that would look really cool. So if any of y'all have access to puff paint, try using puff paint instead. Now we're just going to dab the little edges of it. Same thing with this one. We're just going to work at the edge. and move it down to the center. Make it a pretty little snowflake. I truly, truly hope y'all can see this. And then we're going to dab the little edges of it. Now right there, I got some of the icing close to the edge, but it doesn't matter, it'll be okay. No one's gonna care. If they do care, oh well. Same ordeal, we're just moving it up to the center. And then we have our last one. Once we're done with this one, then we're going to do our pre-coats on our other ones. Alrighty. Now let's start with our pre-coats. Sorry, I'm just giving my wrist a break. Holding those like that and painting targets. That's okay. Because teaching people sometimes hurts, and that's just the way it goes. We're going to go through. Now since this one is fully white, I think all we'll need are 2 pre-coats on it. I don't know how many pre-coats I'm going to have to put on the other. And the same rule applies as it did when you were painting these. Well, painting the cookies. Whatever color you want the icing to be, just put as many layers down that you need to in order for it to get that color. And if you need to put down a layer of white paint before you put down the color that you're going to use for the icing, go ahead and do that. And I may or may not skip through all this, I don't know. We're going to set that one off to dry. We're going to do the same things. And if you don't get it completely where your first layer was, that's okay too. So just give more texture to it. It'll give it more personality too. Now this guy, I'm probably going to have to give him 3 coats of paint instead of just 2. And it's just from how dark I made him. And this is when, if you want to do a layer of white first and then go in with whatever color you want your icing to be, that would work better depending on how dark you made your cookies. Now I'm going to let these guys dry up. Once they're dry, well, no. So I went ahead and cleaned off my paintbrush. I'm going to let these 2 guys dry out, but this one's already dry, so I'm going to go and I'm going to paint the snowflake onto this one. Now be patient with me, I'm not really good at this. So this is the paintbrush I'm going to be using for this one. We're gonna see how it goes. You're gonna get a little dot of paint on the end of your paintbrush, and you're just going to dot wherever you want your center to be, and we're going to work off of that. So we're going to make lines leading off of that dot in the center towards where your lines are, well, your corners are. And I might get another paintbrush for this. Yep. Okay. I got a different paintbrush. I'm using this one instead. I'm hoping that it will help me out a lot better than that one did. If you have a small paint pen, I think that would work a lot better too. Where our points are, we're just going to flare out. That's a little bit too much paint. Yeah, we're just gonna flare out a bit. This looks horrible, but that's okay. It's a learning process. Oh, that's right, I do suck at painting snowflakes. It doesn't matter about this being good, as my goal is that one of y'all who are watching is better at this than I am. So y'all see this and y'all go, I can do better. So that's good. But here is my misshapen snowflake. I'm going to be doing this a couple more times. I'm not going to make y'all suffer through this, so I will just show y'all what everything looks like at the end. practice makes perfect. This was the last one that I made, and then this one was the first one that I made. But to me, they all look absolutely beautiful. And what I'm going to end up doing with these is I'm going to dip them in resin, and I'm going to put an earring back behind this one. And these are just going to be earrings, and then these I'm going to put a jump loop through them, and they're going to be dangly earrings. I'll make a video over that, but it will be a short video, so it's not really explaining a whole lot. I hope, truly do hope that you'll learn something from this, because in all honesty, this seems like a big jumble up mess, and I have a couple more of these clay paintings left to go. Thank y'all all for sticking through and putting up with me, and I hope you'll have a blessed day. Bye!